had to do this documentary, man. I had to do this documentary, man, based on one of the things I love the most, that I'm infatuated with the most, ever since I was like 7 or 8 years old. And that thing is hip hop. Um, I gotta talk about a specific year in hip hop, but this documentary is based on a particular year in hip hop, 1988 to be exact. Why 1988 was a special year in hip hop? Well, let's talk about it. Has the number one posse cut of all time on that album, which is the Symphony, with the greatest MCs of all. Big Daddy Kane, you had Cool G Rap, you had Master Ace, you had Biz Markie wasn't on there, and MC Shan wasn't on there, but you had Craig G on that joint. Like, come on, man, the top lyricists at that time, all on one. Too much power, man. That was too much energy. They never been done before in hip hop like that on that level. That song always gonna be classic hip hop joint forever. The Symphony, and that was a Symphony one. They did other symphonies, believe it or not. And they eventually did one on later on with Biz Markie, and Roxanne Shante actually came on there. Actually came on the song they did later on what was the name of that? Frankly Cutlass mix CD or album, the Frankie Cutlass album. You'll hear that symphony. I think it's the Symphony Part 2. I believe, the Symphony Part 3 or whatever. Yeah, Roxanne finally got on there with Biz Markie. I think the Symphony Part 2 was In Control Volume 2 by Marley Marl. That was the Symphony Part 2. Was on there. But like I said, man, In Control Volume 1, that Marley Marl first joint, the compilation album, Cold Chillin', that was the name of the label. The Juice Crew, that was the name of the crew. Even to this day, can't be matched at all. That super hip hop group, that super group formed, the Juice Crew, never, man, would it be another group like that of MCs potent to the core, came together. They were like the first Avengers of hip hop. True shit right there. In Full Gear by Stetsasonic, that was another classic hip hop album. Came out that year in 1988, and I think I do have it up here. Might have it. I don't see it. up here. But that's a classic joint, you know what I'm saying? Stetsasonic, they did their thing in the hip hop. They put their stamp. They a group that should be mentioned when it come to groups. We talk about PE, you talk about Tribe Called Quest, you talk about Mantronics, you talk about a lot of groups like that. They have to be mentioned in there. They have to be mentioned, and that's a classic hip hop album for sure. Stetsasonic, the classic album by Stetsasonic, had the famous joint. Some people don't like the way that Saleh walks. Classic hip hop joint forever, man. Especially at the parties. It also had Talking All That Jazz. That was one of the bangers on that joint. One of the greatest DJs of all time, DJ Jazzy Jeff, man, from Philly. Shout out to my dude, DJ Jazzy Jeff, for doing these hip hop concerts recently. The one I went to in 2023, the mixtape. That concert was phenomenal. They had almost everybody, 50 MCs, something like I never seen before. That was done in July of 2023. It had a lot of people from the 90s and the 80s mixed together, man. People I ain't seen in a long time. People I thought I would never see on stage ever, man. Like, they had Smooth the Hustler came out that day. They had Ziggy Tribe came out that day. You had Yo Yo came out that day. You had Lady of Rage came out that day, man. And there was many more, man. Many more people that came out. But DJ Jazzy Jeff was the DJ. It was phenomenal. Dougie Fresh was one of the performers, and he was in the background with DJ Jazzy Jeff, and they was introducing the people and everything like that. But the album I want to get straight into is he's the DJ, I'm the rapper. That classic duo, man. I talked about classic duos of hip hop with the DJ and the rapper that can't be never touched. That's another duo with Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff. That duo of them two together, they probably have to be the best hip hop DJ performing group of all time. When they got together, Will Smith got the party rocking and all that. Rakim was like a lyricist, straight serious. He gonna rhyme, get it over with, and straight to the point. And Fresh Prince, you know, man, he was a lot of people won't put him into like a hardcore, serious rapper category. He was more like a party MC. He got the party started. He reminded you of them MCs from back in the day when hip hop first started, like in the late 70s and early 80s. He reminded me of one of them type of rappers and MCs. And he got the party started the best way he could, and the crowd hype. And that was the best thing that Will Smith, one of his talents, he was able to do. Entertain the crowd. That's what made him become a good actor and got him an Oscar. He was able to entertain the crowd and make what he was doing entertaining for you. So shout out to Will Smith for that album. He's the DJ, I'm the rapper. Classic cutting, classic DJing on that album. Album was phenomenal, man. The album was phenomenal. Can't front on that. Life is Too Short by Too Short. And like I said, I'm only talking about the albums I know. All the albums that I just recently mentioned, I have all them albums. I don't have this particular album. Wasn't a Too Short fan. I ain't gonna say I don't like the Down South, because I do like a lot of the Down South dudes. And I like, their albums, like I said, NWA, for instance, Eazy-E, which I'm about to get into, Outkast, Ludacris. This is a nice amount of down south rappers that I gel with. I just don't gel to the East Coast. I've never been just the East Coast. No, good music is good music, folks. In my opinion, whatever gravitates towards my soul. But Too Short, never got into him. Never related to stuff that I can relate to. You know what I mean? So songs was out pimping and selling drugs and all that. And to me, somebody that liked Too Short may say he was a true lyricist. But I couldn't relate to him, and he ain't never gravitated to my soul. But the album that came out that year. It's called Life is Too Short. And it came out during 1988. Put him up there with well, Cube can say he was one of the greatest of all time. He had one of the greatest voices of all time, and he had one of the greatest deliveries, which he had to work on. Because everybody know the story, you go back and watch the movie or whatever, he had to work to that, to get that. It was already kind of in him already, because he was already, a businessman, and he liked talking that fly talk. It was already in him. It had to be brought out by Dr. Dre. It had to get squeezed out by Dr. Dre, and that's what made him become one of the outstanding, and well, I'm gonna put it this way, one of the known and recognized MCs of our time because of that delivery of voice and the way he brought it. You know what I'm saying? That roughness and everything, and he brought it. That style. You could tell when he rhymed, or whatever, where he was from. He had that East Coast, that West Coast, Los Angeles delivery in him, and his voice was unique as well. But this album right now, I got it right next to Easy Said and Done. It's somewhere on here. I thought it was next to the NWA album. Here we go, right here. I should have had it next to the NWA, Straight Outta Compton, but he got his dudes in the background, man, and he got the Raiders hat on and all that stuff, but Nobody Move, Nobody Gets Hurt, that was on that album. The song with all of the collaborations with all of them on there. That's on there. Dr. Dre does his thing, phenomenal production like he always do. Much respect to Dre. I got my Dre clock right here in the middle of my hip hop wall of fame. The Chronic, that's another album, but we ain't getting into that. We talk about 1988 right now. But Easy Said and Done, man. You need to have that in your collection as a true hip hop junkie and a hip hop fan. Must need it. Every song, all the way through, no stopping. I got this the first album, but I got the other ones, my CD collection. Tougher Than Lover had some crazy, some joints on there. It's classic singles, classic production, everything about. They were the first ones to do it all, man. The first ones, MTV, the first ones who took hip hop and made it mainstream. There's the first. The list goes on and on about Run-DMC, man. Run was actually a DJ. That's why his name DJ Run. For people who don't know that, he was the DJ of Curtis Blow back in the day. He was one of the first hype MCs. Everybody was rhyming a little differently. Run was the first hype dude. You know what I'm saying? It took it to that next level with the rhymes, man. And that Tougher Than Leather album, man, is a classic joint to have in your collection. Tougher Than Leather album had Run's House, the classic joint. Whose house? Run's house. It also had Mary, Mary, why you bugging? Mary, Mary, I need your loving. It also had Beats to the Rhyme, one of the bangingest beats created ever in hip hop. That was on that album. Tougher Than Leather. Act a Fool is another classic hip hop album that came out by King T. Down South boy, man. King T, man, a lot of people don't know about King T. Only the true hip hop fans know. Real thorough ball. I ain't gonna put him as like, I listen to him on rotation a lot with Biggie and the way I listen to KRS One and then Big Daddy Kane and all them. But I do remember seeing the album in my brother collection and also my uncle collection. My uncle was he was the one that got me and my brother into hip hop. My uncle Alexander on my dad's side, he used to have the albums and he used to do parties and we used to albums and play them. We used to keep the album sometime in the basement and he'd keep it in our house for a couple weeks or whatever. And my brother would get his I remember would get his album covers and take the records out and put them up on his wall. And my uncle would come in, hey, that album cover look familiar. That's what he used to do. And my brother used to put them album covers up on the wall. We go back and listen to them joints, man. And he was the one that, like I said, my uncle Alexander got us into the hip hop. And I do remember seeing a tape though, the King T tape of um, that particular album, Act the Fool. But I gotta talk about him briefly. Definitely don't get the credit that he should get for starting that gangster shit. The first MC, man, that started that gangster shit before Ice-T, before Ice Cube, before Eazy and Dr. Dre and Big Ice Cube and all of them did it. Schoolie D did it back in the early '80s, man. And he was the one that talked all that gangster shit and all that raunchy, grimy, straight street talk, street gutter rhymes. Schoolie D. You got to give that dude his props for that. And then right after him was Just Ice. He was another one that started that gangster rap, the gangster rap, as what they may call it. But that street shit, that grimy shit, he was another one. But let's get back into the Smoke Some Ill, third album by Schoolie D. It had the classic joint in that joint. Mr. D-I-C-K. Mr. Big D-I-C-K was on that album. One of my favorite female groups of all time. They to me was the female version of Run-DMC. Definitely got to get them props, man. This album has some classic joints. It had Shake Your Thing on this album. It also had what's the other joint on here? It had the song Get Up. Get up. Everybody get up. Get up. Everybody get up. Audio 2, John. Crown Rulers. Here we go, all the way down here, man. I'm looking up top. It's all the way down at the bottom. You know, Giz and Milk D had the joint Top Billing. You know what I'm saying? That was a classic joint back in the day, man. You play that joint at any party, people gonna go crazy. The old heads gonna go crazy. You play that at any block party, the 40-year-olds and up is gonna go crazy. Yo, Top Billing was that anthem for that time when it came out for a while. Giz is chill. Milk is chilling. Giz is chilling. What more can I say? Top Billing. Yo, that was the shit. A lot of people sample that joint, the Top Billing. A lot of hip hop artists through the hip hop times and the eras. Throughout hip hop sampled that Top Billing song. It was a classic joint of hip hop forever, for sure. The real Roxanne. I'm a Shante fan. You know what I mean? Not anything against the Puerto Rican Shante. I thought she was commercial, watered down. Rhymes was nowhere near the real Roxanne. Shante is my girl. But the Puerto Rican Joan, I call herself the real Roxanne. The album was called The Real Roxanne. Came out, that little diss thing between her, UTFO, and all that during that time. The Puerto Rican joint, the light-skinned Puerto Rican joint that came out in that album, 1988. Don't know too much about the album, because I didn't have the album. So we gonna keep it moving. It Takes Two, Bob, Rob Bass and Easy Rock. Rest in peace to DJ Easy Rock. But It Takes Two, man, is the #1 party anthem song of all time, folks. The #1 party anthem. You put it on right now. You can't do a party if you're a DJ, a hip hop party, and cannot play It Takes Two. It's going to be the #1 party anthem forever, man, forever. And that album was it had some joints on that joint. Like, it had Joy and Pain. Joy, pump it up, and pain. Keep it going, keep it moving now. Sunshine. What else? What else? And rain. That was on there. But my joint was, a lot of people slept on this joint. Don't Sleep on It. That was the third song. Don't sleep on it. Don't sleep on it with the sample. This is not in your vision. Don't sleep on it. Don't sleep on it. Gonna make no decision. Don't sleep on it. Don't sleep on it, yo. That was my fucking shit, man. And you know, that album, man, is gonna be a classic joint in the hip hop forever, 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 ever, 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 ever. Let's Get It Started by MC Hammer. Also came out that year. I don't know if there's any MC Hammer fans out there. I'm specifically not an MC Hammer fan. I don't got the album, never had the album, never really had a desire to want to get the album. But it has some classic party joints on there. And that's what MC Hammer was. MC Hammer, to me, was the great entertainer and dancer. But as far as lyrically wise, he was just a commercial rapper, in my opinion. He was a nursery rhyme rapper. Just put words together, and he wasn't accepted by the hip hop community because of that. And that commercial shit, the real hip hop community always dissed that, and that's why we couldn't take that boy seriously. We called him a cornball. We called him corny, because it's not like you have to be different, and he definitely was different. But during that time in the 80s when everybody was taking their rhymes seriously and taking it to the next level, MC Hammer didn't fit in that mesh. But he did take the hip hop by storm with his dancing and the movement that he did bring to the hip hop, but on a commercial level that he brought to the hip hop world. But that album, like I said, Let's Get It Started came off that in '88. Turn This Mother Out came on that was on that album. Also, you had Let's Get It Started. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. That was on there. But I ain't gonna lie, I'm not an MC Hammer fan, so I'm not gonna go all into that. Let's get on to the next album. Too Hype by Kid and Play. Kid and Play was another commercial group, a duo group. Both dudes named Christopher. Too Hype album was pretty good, folks. For that party, I can relate, because I ain't a party dude. I ain't never go to a lot of clubs and stuff when I was a teenager, when I was in my early 20s and stuff. But I used to like to dance. I used to like to break dance. And me and my cousin, when we was trying to start our little rap thing when we was younger, we just rhymed about what teenagers rhymed about when you're a teenager, which which is girls and hip hop. And that's what Kid and Play rhymed about, and that's how I can relate to that group, relating to me and my cousin. We never rhymed like them, thank God, but they was party rappers. They just talked about, happy-go-lucky rappers. Just talking about having a good time and partying. They remind me of the rappers back in the day when hip-hop first started, like in the early 70s, when people would plug in the microphones and do the basement parties and house parties and just have fun all night. And that's what hip-hop is about, fun. It wasn't about the money, none of that stuff. It was about just having a good time and enjoying yourself. And that's what Kid and Play remind me of. Anyway, on that album, you had Ola, Ola, eh, Ola, Ola, eh, roll, 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 we're Kid and Play now. Roll, 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 we're Kid and Play now. Then you have my favorite joint in the album, is Do This My Way. That beat, I can't even, describe the beat, how it went, but that beat was fucking banging on Do This My Way. Production by Herbie, phenomenal. You know what I mean? They was like a Salt and Pepper group. They're like the male version of Salt and Pepper. They rhymed like Salt and Pepper. I mean, Herbie, that was the way he designed the group, and that's the way they sound. They sound like male versions of Salt and Pepper. Beats was real similar to Salt and Pepper beats. Too Hype also had Last Night on that joint, man. Last night we had a ball. Last night we really had a ball. Yo, that was the shit, man. Last Night, that's another joint. I remember listening to these joints when I was younger on the radio. They played them joints heavy. Do This My Way, Ola Ola A, and Last Night. Then they did the house party movie, man. That's up there with Friday. You think about the hood movies that everybody watched in the hood growing up, and you didn't watch them, you need to be smacked. We all talk about House Party, and we all talk about fucking Friday. The movies that you can watch on the rotation all the time and never get tired of watching them. When you watching them, it's like you watching them for the first time, you laughing. And House Party gave you a nice dose of the three elements of hip-hop. It gave you DJing, which hip-hop started out as from the DJing. It gave you MCing, which was like the second element after the DJing. And it also gave you dancing, man. The dancing part. They had the little Kid and Play step they did and everything like that. It was really like, far as hip-hop movies, it's definitely up there. House Party, one of the top hip-hop movies of all time, up there with Beat Street and Breaking and Crush Groove and all that. You got to put House Party in there. If you say top 5, that have to be at least number 5 or number 4. At least.